Chosen one, stop immediately. Put aside everything you were just doing. I don't just need your attention. I need your full presence. These are not words you can hear while scrolling through a screen at the same time. This message requires inner stillness, concentration, and the willingness to listen. Because what revealed itself during the preparation of these words left me completely motionless for several minutes. Recently, you did something important. And it's not about an action you planned in advance or one you used to impress anyone. It was an action so natural, so deeply rooted in your innermost being, that you didn't even notice what a powerful spiritual shift it triggered in the layers of reality that the human eye cannot see. Your response impressed God. Not superficially or briefly, but so deeply that Archangel Michael, the commander of the heavenly hosts, the one who has defeated darkness, interrupted his work and directed his full attention toward you. What you demonstrated should not have happened. Not from a person with your past. Not from someone who has experienced so much pressure. Not from someone who had so many logical reasons to act differently. Everyone would have understood if you had reacted differently. But you didn't. Subscribe to the channel and activate notifications, because next you will learn more about the moment that made heaven stop and watch you. This will completely change your understanding of all the difficulties you have been through and all the silent victories that no one knew about. Stay until the end, because I will show you what inner state drew the attention of the higher powers toward you, why Archangel Michael personally requested an analysis of your path, and what this means for everything that is beginning to unfold in your life. If you have recently felt that something inside you has changed, that you have crossed an invisible boundary between who you were and who you have become, write 777 in the comments. For everything to fall into place, you need to understand one thing. In the spiritual dimensions, observation is constant. You are not the only one being watched, but you are not just one among many either. There are angels responsible for protection, guidance, and analysis. Most human reactions are predictable. People respond to pain with bitterness, to betrayal with the desire for revenge, to injustice with anger. These scenarios have repeated themselves for thousands of years. They are studied, classified, and surprise no one. But sometimes, very rarely, a soul appears that reacts in a way that fits none of the existing models. This creates what the heavenly records call a moment of wonder. You have become the source of such a moment. This happened recently, in one of the most difficult phases of your life. At a time when the circumstances seemed arranged as if to break you, when the burden felt unbearable, when anyone would have understood if you had given up or answered darkness with darkness. But you did something else. It is important to understand this is not about simple survival. Many continue living out of stubbornness or because they have no other choice. That does not attract heaven. You showed something different. You were in a situation where you had every right to be offended, angry, and cold inside. You were truly hurt. It was real pain, not pretend. And in the moment when everything human inside you demanded to respond in kind, when your mind was searching for ways to protect itself through distance or retaliation, a different choice arose within you. You chose grace, where you had the right to choose destruction. Perhaps it was a conversation where you could have destroyed with words, but you chose silence. Perhaps you had the chance to expose the mistakes of others, but you covered them and kept them to yourself. Perhaps you could have walked away and no one would have judged you, but you stayed and kept going. It was precisely in that moment that heaven took notice of you, because your choice revealed what you are made of. It proved that your reactions are not dictated by circumstances, that your character does not depend on how others treat you, that you remain yourself even when chaos surrounds you. That is rare. Most people are a reflection of their environment. Their behavior shifts depending on how they are treated. When things are good, they are kind. When things are bad, they become hard. Their character is unstable. You proved the opposite. You showed that your center lives within you, that no pain can make you into someone you do not wish to be. That is precisely what drew the attention of heaven. Your guardian angel had been observing the events, recording your inner struggles and outer decisions. That is standard practice. But in the moment you made that choice, your path was noted for a higher review. Such cases are rare. Angels normally operate within their designated authority, but here, something required the attention of the Archangel. When the report reached Archangel Michael, he was occupied with tasks of cosmic significance. But a single note in your file made him stop. It read, "Forgiveness demonstrated at the level of the enemy during an active attack." This phrase requires explanation. In the spiritual system, reactions are classified: offense, revenge, withdrawal, apathy. These are the standard scenarios. But there is a rare category known as transcendent response. This is when a person responds to evil with good, to hatred with love, to a blow with a blessing. Such responses are automatically forwarded to the Archangel level, because they point to a soul operating beyond ordinary human capacity. You activated exactly that level. Michael studied your path, every recent situation, every inner decision that no one else knew about. And what he saw led him to request a special review. The Archangel does not spend his time on individual souls without reason. His attention is a sign of uniqueness. At the highest level, your case was not presented as a problem, but as an example. The moment of your decision was shown, the full inner struggle, and then the entire story of your life. Because that decision was not a coincidence, it was part of a pattern. You have repeatedly chosen the difficult right path over the easy wrong one. You remained honest when no one was watching. You showed kindness where it was not deserved. And it became clear, you have been living like a chosen one without knowing it. And then God expressed a thought that you must truly receive. These are not human words. They are pure understanding transmitted to all who were present. This one reminds me of why I created humanity. The creator of all things, the one who shaped the galaxies, saw in you the reflection of his design. Because you did something angels cannot do. They see God directly. Their obedience is self-evident. You chose faith without proof, love without confirmation, light in the middle of darkness. That is the uniqueness of the human soul. Archangel Michael had not expected this from you yet. He had seen your potential, but assumed you would reach this level later, not in your most difficult time. Because your choice was not only moral, it was a strategic strike against the forces working against you. Every attack had the goal of bringing you down to their level. But you responded differently. And in spiritual physics, that means the energy returns to its source, amplified by your light. You weren't even aware of what you had done, and now the consequences are already becoming visible. You may have noticed that the attacks have turned back against those who launched them. People who wished you harm are facing their own problems. That is not a coincidence. You feel a strange calm in the middle of chaos. That is not natural. It is a gift. You have gained clarity. Your intuition has grown stronger. People are disappearing from your life without a fight. It is a restructuring. And above all, a feeling is growing inside you that something great is coming. A decision has been made to accelerate the timeline. This means that what was meant to come later is now coming sooner. Doors are opening. Resistance is being lifted. You are entering a phase of special favor. But this is not only for you. You are becoming a channel. Your story will activate others. Your presence will change the rooms you walk into. In the heavenly records, you have been given the classification of a proven warrior of the light. This means you have proven yourself through action. You do not merely believe in the light, you carry it. And from this point forward, you will be treated differently. At the end, a personal note was added to your file. Your choice has expanded our understanding of what the human soul is capable of. You did not know you were being watched. You were simply yourself. And that was enough to impress the Creator of all things. Before you continue, take one conscious step. Subscribe to this channel and write in the comments the words, "I am ready." This is not a formality. It is not a request for the algorithm. It is an act of inner agreement. When you write these words, you are confirming that you accept the next level, that you are no longer resisting the changes that have already begun. These words affirm your intention, not just to listen, but to step into what is now being spoken. Because after this heavenly registration, your path is no longer considered ordinary. From this moment, the observation of you is no longer passive. It has become active accompaniment. This means the events in your life will no longer unfold randomly or chaotically, even if they appear that way on the surface. Behind the scenes, a fine-tuning is taking place, where every delay, every encounter, every sudden closing or opening is part of a coordinated movement. You may have noticed that time itself seems to have shifted somehow. Some processes have become faster, others have suddenly stopped. What used to take months is now resolved in days, and what you tried with great effort to move has suddenly frozen in place despite all your attempts. That is not a punishment. That is not a setback. It is a recalibration of the route. You are being guided onto a more direct path, and everything that does not align with the new direction is being cleared away, temporarily or permanently. It is important to understand, acceleration does not mean there are no more tests. On the contrary, they will now be more precise, not chaotic, carefully calibrated. You will no longer be broken by quantity. You will be tested by quality. The situations will be more subtle, deeper, sometimes quieter, but within them, the key will be hidden, and each time, the familiar choice will be offered to you. React automatically, or act from the state that has already become part of your nature. You will notice that people respond to you differently. Some will be drawn to you without any obvious reason. Others will feel uncomfortable in your presence. This has nothing to do with you personally. It has to do with the frequency you are currently operating on. Light is not always comfortable. It reveals. It shows. It exposes what was previously able to remain hidden. That is why some people will feel irritated without understanding why. Do not try to change that. Do not offer explanations. Simply remain yourself. In the near future, more responsibility will be given to you, not necessarily in the form of high-profile roles or public recognition, more in the form of people coming to you seeking advice, support, and stillness. Sometimes they will not even formulate their request. They will simply be there. And in moments like those, it is important to remember, you do not need to save, teach, or correct. Your task is to be present. What you have become is already enough. You may also notice that your words are gaining weight. Things said in passing begin to come true. Casual remarks prove accurate. This is neither magic nor coincidence. It is a sign that the inner and the outer are beginning to align. When a person lives from their center, their intentions become pure and therefore powerful. But with this comes stillness. There will be times when you have no desire to explain, to prove, to share. That is normal. That is integration. After a strong spiritual leap, there is always a phase of grounding. Do not fill it with noise. Do not rush. Do not try to return to your former level of activity. It is more important now to consolidate what has already happened than to seek what is new. If you suddenly feel a sense of loneliness, do not be afraid. This is not estrangement. It is transition. Old connections do not always withstand the new state, and new ones have not yet formed. This is a temporary in-between space. Within it, your inner foundation is being built. This is where you learn not to seek confirmation from the outside, but to recognize truth from within. You may also be confronted with memories. Situations from the past may resurface without obvious reason. That is not regression. It is the closing of cycles. What was once pain can now be seen differently, not to be relived, but to finally release the energy held within it. Let these images come and go without engaging with them. They come to complete, not to repeat. All of this is happening because you are no longer seen as a student, but as a carrier. That is a subtle but significant distinction. Students are taught through repetition. Carriers are trusted. You will no longer be given explanations for every step. You will be given space to act from who you are. Mistakes are possible, but they no longer destroy. They correct. And here it is important to remember, your strength lies not in perfection, not in being without error, but in the ability to remain a light even when something goes wrong. You have already proven you are capable of that. That is precisely why you have been trusted with more. At some point, you will feel the impulse to begin something new. A project, a path, a way of living that previously seemed too risky or impossible. That is not a random idea. That is an invitation. You do not need to throw yourself into it immediately, but do not ignore it. Listen. Write it down. Give it a form. Even one small step in that direction will set in motion a chain of events that your mind cannot calculate, but that will come together with astonishing precision. You do not need to seek validation from people who have not walked your path. Not everyone will understand, and that is normal. Recognition will come from where you least expect it, and sometimes it will not arrive in any familiar form at all. But you will feel the rightness of it in your body, in your breath, in your inner stillness. And one more thing. Do not try to return to your old self, even when it sometimes seems easier. Easier, yes, but not more true. You have already crossed a threshold. There is no way back, because you can no longer ignore what you now know. And that is not a loss. That is a liberation. Stay attentive to signs, to inner impulses, to the pauses that used to frustrate you. They carry more meaning now than movement does. You are ready, and heaven already knows it.